Oh my gosh. We just voted out Claire. I am shook. I mean, I was a part of it and I'm shook. I can't believe that just happened. I literally was like, shit, I'm gonna have to vote Ben and I'm gonna be out next. And I just didn't think there was anything I could do about it, but I just kept chipping away at Krista, one thing after the other, like, come on, come on, come on, come on. And right before tribal council, she called me and she said, okay, I wanna vote Claire, let's do it.
Well, bullet dodged. Came down to the wire before the last tribal council, and I mean, you know, had an inkling that I was gonna manage to get away with one, and sure enough, pulled Krista over to my side at the last second. So pretty thrilled just to still be in the game.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna need to catch you up to speed because it has been a rock and roller coaster the past 12 hours. So, literally 10 minutes before the big tribal council, I changed the vote and I changed it to Claire because she is a massive target, and I was just like reflecting and doing a lot of introspection and self-reflecting on my game and my resume, and I was like, I need to flush her idol and get her out immediately, or else I'm gonna look like a freaking idiot.
I gotta say, the tribal tonight blindsided to say the least. Had to do a face mask, decompress. Yeah, it was just crazy. Because for like 2 days, we were like, Ben, 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 Ben. It's gonna be Ben. Everyone's voting for Ben. Cool, it's Ben. And then magically, 15 minutes before we go to tribal, apparently there was a coup. And it was decided that it would be Claire because she was target. She was too powerful. Pulling Claire out in the first round, though, I don't think it was a very wise decision by their part. Just because they could have built alliances, they could have formed a trust. It could have worked out for a lot of people to keep Claire in. It would have been in a lot of people's best interest to keep Claire in, but they were too afraid.
I am done being a softy, itty-bitty, scaredy baby cat because I know my last confessionals, like, as an audience member and a viewer, you're probably confused, like, oh, well, you said that you weren't cut out for this, and you said you couldn't vote out your friends and stuff like that. But it honestly was, like, thrilling and gave me a lot of adrenaline. So I'm prepared to do whatever, but I do have some sort of moral compass, and I will not vote out my sister. I cannot write her name down, and I don't know about other people, but there are just some people that I'm willing to do it and some people I'm not. And you know what? I'll do me and you do you, and we'll have a great time in this game.
Ooh, lot to unpack from last night. As you can tell from where I am, we won the immunity challenge last night, which also doubled as a reward challenge. So we got 10 minutes in a car each to remind us of what we left back home. And we woke up this morning and we got Chick-fil-A. So very sweet of production to do that. Yeah, Connor and I ended up kind of carrying the team on that challenge. Honestly got lucky with a lot of those words. The word that like Sean got out on and Sammy got out on, I would have also gotten out of. So really happy to not be going to tribal. But the big news of the night is Claire went home. I have mixed feelings about that, because while it is good for my game, probably because I don't think she was going to work with me, it is tough because that was a huge shield for me, and now she's gone, and the Claire army can now be picked up. So I don't really know who they're going to be loyal to.
Wow, second immunity challenge of the season, second immunity. It's such an incredible feeling not having been in tribal council and not having to go. To celebrate, Zach and I went and got Chick-fil-A. Production got Zach and I Chick-fil-A, so our tribe really enjoyed that. It was a great performance by everybody, and I think we're just happy to live another day.
I'm really thankful that we won that challenge, because I truthfully don't feel very good about my place in Survivor over the next couple weeks. I think that I'm just kind of like waiting to be taken out of this game. So Claire went home tonight. That's bad for me, because of course, like, Claire was probably was the possibility of being my strongest ally in this game, considering the fact that, you know, we've been friends since middle school, and she's one of my best friends, so it's kind of a bummer.
Claire was the first person voted out, and I can't say I'm surprised, but I am a little bit nervous about what that means for me going forward. And the reason I say that is because even though in theory Claire being out is great for my game, the bad news is that one of the biggest shields in the game for a lot of other returning players is now gone. So that leaves me a little bit uneasy about what this means going forward in terms of how willing people are going to be to let a returning player who made it far in the game last time hang around. So I need to be on my toes going forward here in a lot of different ways. The good news is that because my tribe spells like frickin' champions, we aren't going to tribal on Tuesday.
It's been about a week since Tucker/Jeff sent out the clues for the idol that has been hidden in his record collection, and we have not gotten any extra clues. So that means either that not everyone has used all their guesses, which I find really hard to believe, or somebody else has already found the idol, which I think is more likely. I'm pretty positive, just based on, you know, what of like the skill set I feel like of the people in my tribe, that the person who has the idol is Zach, which is interesting because the day that Tucker started sending out the clues, I messaged Zach and I said that I wanted to help him find the idol because I really didn't care. I just wanted to figure out the answer to this puzzle. And he has not been very forthcoming with me in other things. And so I think the thing is that if he has the idol and he hasn't told me about it, despite all of my attempts to be amicable and build an alliance with him, I think that Zach has been playing me this whole time, which I think means that him and Krista, and whoever else Krista is involved with, they have been probably not texting, because I don't think they would cheat. I like to believe the good in them. But I think that they have been playing us all this entire time. I don't trust Zach. Oh my god, there's a huge cockroach on my wall.
All that work and right back in the tribal fire, so we'll see how it goes tonight. Seems a little bit more clear cut, but you never know what exactly can happen and who's been talking, so not taking anything for granted, and just hoping that finally, maybe, we can win tribal immunity and give ourselves a break for a week.
We did lose the challenge just now, which is pretty unfortunate because we have to go back to tribal council again. Hopefully it's easy. It's a Becca vote. The one curveball is Krista does say that Claire did have the idol. So if that's true, a new idol might come out. And it just means that me or Ben or Krista need to find it. If Becca finds it, that could be a problem.
All right, so we are really on X Games mode now because an idol dropped on our beach this morning because Claire, obviously we flushed her idol because we're geniuses. Well, I'm a genius because I'm the one that crafted that move, but I was talking to my sister about this idol clue, and she was like, oh my god, I think it's Julie's cat. And I'm like on the phone with her, like trying to screenshot this photo of this cat, and I'm like, yeah, maybe, but maybe you could keep, looking at the episodes. And she was like, yeah, I will. And then while she was doing that, I screenshotted that shit and sent it to Jeff before she could. I think it was literally like 5 minutes before she did. So I found that idol, man, and I don't know when I'm gonna use it, and I only told my sister, and I'm not telling Ben, and I'm not telling Becca, and I'm not telling anybody else, and I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but we shall see. So
My sister just straight savage stole the freaking idol from me. I'm honestly kind of proud of her. It's kind of funny, but we were on the phone. The second clue came out, so we were on the phone trying to solve it, to find the idol. And while I was on the phone with her, I saw what I thought it was, and so I said, "Oh, Krista, I think it's the cat." She goes, I don't know about that. We should watch the rest of the episodes before we guess that. And then she's like, I gotta go get on a work call. And she hangs up the phone, immediately guesses the cat, and then messages me and she goes, I got the idol. And I was like, what was the answer? And she goes, the cat. I'm like, you bitch. She stole my freaking idol. So, I mean, it's fine. At least I know where it is, and at least it's with Krista. But I was like, if you use that idol to blindside me, I swear to God. And she was like, I won't. So anyway, Krista's got the idol thanks to me telling her the answer, and she better not screw me over with that.
big moves only, big moves only.
Tribal tonight. It has been a really quiet weekend and a really quiet day for the Chapera tribe. I am hoping that is because tonight's vote is going to be very easy and straightforward, and not because they're all trying to blindside me. I don't think it makes sense for them to do that at this point. Like, what? First of all, they being Krista and Ben, would both have to flip on me in order to pull it off. Otherwise, we're gonna be in a crazy tie situation that I don't think either one of them want to put themselves in. And I don't see both of them flipping for Becca. Becca, speaking of, I don't even know if she remembers that we're playing Survivor right now. I don't think she's been online since Tribal Council on Thursday. I would not be surprised if she made 0 guesses for the idol. I have not spoken to her. I don't think she cares.
Yeah, that's right. I vote myself because I know I'm going out. I know everyone's going to vote for me. Ben talked about being stonewalled last week. Haven't heard a thing from anyone else. So I already know I'm going home. I know it doesn't matter. I know no one cares. So yeah, gonna have a fun summer, not wasting my time playing Survivor.
So my strategy of coming in, of dominating every immunity challenge, winning every advantage, and just showing everybody how to play this game hit a bit of a snag when we got to this spelling bee challenge. I ended up misspelling Ponderosa, and now we face tribal council.
2 tribes are going to elimination this week, and we as a tribe, this will be our first time, and it's a scary one, you know. As I was just saying, if you haven't gone to tribal council yet, you don't know who to trust yet. And the obvious working together group is Rob, Emily, and I. There's been some talk of getting Brian to vote for Karen and Karen to vote for Brian. And then it's just up to Emily, Rob, and I to decide. But I'm not ruling out the possibility of working with the 2 that aren't my age, and there's a lot that could change before Tuesday, so we'll see what happens.
As far as our tribe goes, I'm talking with Phil and Rob. They are game to stick together. I think for this point in the game, it does not make sense to rock the boat. If I got to pick, I would want it to be Brian that went home over Karen, because I've actually been talking to Karen a little bit and she wants to work together, at least she says she does. I also am worried about Brian because he's the only one that hasn't provided any evidence that he doesn't have the idol. Rob has also provided evidence that he doesn't have the idol, but he has photoshopped things in the past, and I am not certain that I can trust that right now. But given the fact that we are pretty confident that at the end of Tuesday night we will go to 2 tribes, I think that it does not make sense to piss anybody off right now. And so if Rob and Phil are good with staying 3, then I think we just stay 3. They could be lying to me and I'm going home and they're gonna align with Brian and take out me, and because Rob's really not over what I did to him last season. I don't know.
If we're about to have a tribal swap, you want to have as many people as you know on that new tribe, and try and leverage those relationships, whereas somebody who you don't know as well probably is more likely to flip, and so that was probably my biggest decision maker when it came to whether I made a big move for Rob or Emily, and I decided against it.
We're back to tribal. Emily, last season you may have burned me, but like a phoenix, I'm rising from the ashes. The Lord of Light has resurrected me and given me an opportunity, and I'm not gonna pass it by.
As it stands right now, I think we're going to try to take out Brian or Karen and hope that no idol gets played and see what happens.
Karen is sort of been my strongest ally. Just been talking and trying to figure out who do we want to get rid of, who poses the biggest threat of sort of selling out our tribe. Phil has a lot of connections over on Chapera. Emily's really close with Sean over in Mogo Mogo. And Rob's played with everybody before. So we're just wondering, who do we keep around? And lo and behold, earlier this week, Rob comes gallantly riding in on his steed in his shining armor and gives us the information that Emily and Phil are gunning for us. And so he trusts us and wants to work with us, at least that's what he says. And it gives us a 3rd vote, gives us a majority. And I think he's solid. I think he's trustworthy. I want to continue to see him, in the game. I want to continue to build a relationship with him.
Brian, you may think you're safe, but come tribal, this is your torch. Still lit, because you're my boy, and I got your back.
The person I am voting for in tonight's tribal council is Emily. I'm sorry, girl, but I feel like I tried to really establish an alliance with you, but I never got your 100% buy-in, which really made me doubt whether or not moving forward I could trust you. And so when Rob approached me for this potential blindside, I thought
hey, if I'm gonna make my first vote, I want to make it count and I want to make an impact. And for that is why I am voting Emily.
Well, thought this was going to be a straightforward vote. We had all of the chips lined up and ready to go. We were going to have Karen and Brian voting for each other, and we were going to unfortunately take out Brian. Let me just say, things have changed. Rob rallied support. He got the troops, and he is in for a big move. Therefore, I'm in for a big move. A little frustrated that I was the last one. I was part of discussions for this, but I didn't think it was actually going to happen. I thought we decided we'd play it safe, but I just got the call that Karen and Brian are in, and we are officially voting for Emily. Sorry, Brian.
With each of you should be a torch. Grab it and approach your flame, dip it in, and get fire. This is the part of the ritual of Tribal Council, because in this game, fire represents your life. When your fire is gone, so are you. We'll now bring in the member of our jury, Claire, voted out at the first Tribal Council. Okay, we'll get started with you, Karen. You were a newcomer to this tribe. What was your first impression of Saboga?
I was definitely thinking that, we had a really strong tribe, but I also wasn't, ignorant to the fact that we had people, a majority of whom played last season. And so that's something that has always been at the back of my mind. But talk to a bunch of people, feel like I'm forming some relationships and bonds, so feel good about the tribe.
Brian, you're also a newcomer. What was your first impression of Saboga?
Yeah, I think it echoes Karen's. I think we have, the makings of a really strong tribe, but, it's hard to not see sort of the initial sort of separation between previous players and new players. So, you kind of have to think that maybe you're on the bottom to kind of start with.
I mean, yeah, you watched last season. We've got two super fans, 3 previous players. What is it like to play with legends like Emily, like Phil, like Rob?
I expected grander. I expected bigger. Maybe a little underwhelming.
Phil, you do not look happy at that answer. You don't think you're a grand first impression for a newcomer, or how do you respond to that?
Well, I always make a good first impression. If Brian didn't think that I did, then that's his prerogative or his fault. Either way, whatever. That's fine. No, I mean I get it. When you meet somebody in the flesh, it's a lot less exciting than you would think when you see him on TV. I'm a lot shorter than I look on screen. I know, but it's whatever.
Emily, you played last season with 2 of these people, and 2 of these people are newcomers. So not only is there the expectation of there being previous relationships, there's previous relationships from the previous season. You've played with them. You helped vote out Phil.
Both of them out. So
You voted, does that sit in your head as a little bit of like an alarm to be nervous tonight?
Oh, absolutely. It's only been 3 weeks since last season. I mean, I don't know how deep grudges are going. I know that for at least one of them, like Phil knew, I think he was going home because he got the short end of a stick in a tribe swap. But Rob, I mean, I kind of lied to him a lot last season, and he lied to me too, to be fair. So there was a fair amount of back and forth, but I guess I don't know who I can trust right now. So honestly, the 2 new people might be in a better spot to work with someone like me who's kind of burned some bridges last season and maybe start something different.
Rob, do you consider that bridge burned between you and Emily between last season and now?
Well, it's certainly singed. Part of life is forgiving and being able to move on. And I think all good relationships are able to do that. And I think the strongest relationships have the ability to say, yes, you hurt me. Let's discuss our feelings with this. Let's resolve this and move forward. And oftentimes, when you're able to bridge that gap, you come back better than ever. And I've known Emily for a long time. We had several discussions in the off season and this season. I'm confident that we are able to put water under the bridge, and that we are able to rebuild and move forward together.
Karen, that can be a little intimidating to hear that there are relationships that may be harmed, but they're repairing and repairing quickly as it sounds. How do you sort of navigate that within the week of starting the game and then being here with your first tribal council?
I think just, while keeping that in mind, still putting myself out there, getting to know everyone, starting conversations, because if I let that, permeate through my mind, then I would think, well, what's the point in like trying to reach out to people and trying to talk to people. So just trying to not let that deter me too much and just kind of focus on building those relationships.
Brian, how were the conversations happening? Were they quick? Were they more subdued? What was your expectation sort of going into camp life?
I mean, one of the things that I was worried about playing this game was like, how quickly do I need to be responsive? I'm not the most, responsive kind of guy. I'm not the person that takes you back in the first minute by the look on your face. So like, I was really worried I was going to just be lost because it was going to go too fast. But I think, this game's kind of maybe gotten to maybe a little bit of a slower start just because there is some lethargy from the previous season. So, maybe a little flare up here about the idol, or, a little thing about here about, what is the challenge going to be? But, it's been pretty relaxed, I would say.
Emily, let's talk about that idol. There was a pretty open discussion at some point, I think last week. Someone had a long theory about where that idol could be. What were your thoughts on the idol hunt?
I quite honestly quickly lost momentum in searching for the idol, just because my musical tastes and Jeff's musical tastes do not overlap, with the exception of that LCD Sound System. I think that's the only connecting albums. So I did not feel like I was in a good place to look at 147 records and think through how they're all connected and why. So I quickly kind of lost momentum with it and thought that maybe I should just start taking random guesses. What it spiraled into, based on what I heard from most of the other people on this tribe, is that everyone else was having just as much difficulty figuring this out, and that maybe me holding on to some guesses might not be a bad idea. I think that if that long explanation of Brian's is accurate, then I think I know who has it. If that was the correct guess, then I think I know who has it.
Rob, during the spelling bee, you seem to spell out for one of your answers, Frank Ocean Channel Orange. Was that a signifier to your tribe about where the idol might be? Was that just
very
poking
perceptive.
Fun at a bad challenge design? What was that about?
I thought it was fantastic design. Love the creativity. It was very insightful to me. I got to watch some new movies, listen to some new albums. I loved it. Great challenge. Hope to see more like that. But yes, it was a flex. I am known to be one who has great guns for flexing, and not abashed to show it off. So I wanted to let everybody else on the other tribes know, hey, it's Frank Ocean. I've got it. And I'm confident letting everybody know that I've got it. And so if they want a piece of me, have a bite. I'm a prime rib, seasoned and marinated. So sit down at the table.
Emily, what is the number one factor for you in who you write down tonight?
Relationships. I'm voting for the person who I didn't form the best relationship with, I think. And that's just where my gut is. I'm going with staying loyal. That was my thing last season. It worked pretty well for me. And it got our Final Four to the Final Four by staying strong. And so I'm going to go based on some relationships, because we are pretty early in this game right now. And I think that doing anything too much right now is not the right call.
All right, with that, it is time to vote. When I call your name, please direct message me on Discord the name of the person you plan on voting for. Rob, you're up. All right, I will go tally the votes.
If anyone has a hidden immunity idol and you'd like to play it, now would be the time to do so.
Jeff, can you wait a second?
Yep.
Actually, nope, I'm good. I'm good.
You sure?
Yep.
Okay. Once the votes are read, the decision is final. The person voted out will be asked to leave the tribal council area immediately by turning off the audio and video. I'll read the votes. First vote, Brian. Second vote, Emily. That's one vote Brian, one vote Emily. Emily. That's two votes Emily, one vote Brian. Second person voted out of Survivor, Quarantine All-Stars, and second member of our jury, Emily. That's 3 votes tonight. That's enough. Gotta bring me your torch. Emily, the tribe has spoken. Well, if tonight's vote has taught us anything, it's that loyalty and relationships are the fundamental building block of Survivor. Grab your torches, get back to camp. Good night.
We will get started. I would like to first, we're gonna bring in the first 2 members of our jury. Claire first voted out, and then an unknown person that you will not know until the end of this tribal council, Chapera. Back at tribal council once again, going to go from 4 castaways to 3. Becca, is it safe to say that last week you were blindsided?
Yep.
Any feelings on that, or any emotions on the outcome of that?
Nope.
All right. Ben, you seem to be in a tight spot that ultimately you wriggled out of. Tell me your thoughts on that.
Came down to the wire, and just trying to continue to communicate and, take any opportunity that presented itself, and never say die. So just glad to be here for one more week, and hoping I get to have one more week after this.
Shannon, was there any fallout after last week's vote? It was a pretty big blindside. It seemed to be that there were pretty big reactions. What was life like back at Chapera camp after that?
Well, I imagine the brunt of the fallout would have come from Claire, whom we're not allowed to communicate with. So pretty much just left with Becca, whom I reached out to after Tribal apologized. To be honest with you, it wasn't really overly dramatic. It just was what it was.
Krista, does that reflect your experience?
Yeah, I mean, I felt really bad about it.
But you're laughing now.
I mean, I'm not laughing. It really was a decision that was made probably 10 minutes before. But yeah, I also reached out to Becca and was just like, I'm really sorry. Like, it really was like a last minute decision. And that was pretty much that.
Ben, it was a big move. You got rid of a person who made it really far in the previous season. Does that sort of allot you some breathing room with the days afterwards on how to navigate tribe life and maybe possible future votes?
I think it clarifies, sort of the alignment within the tribe and, people's thoughts about moving forward. And I think it does kind of speak to the sort of the advantage you get as an unknown player and somebody who's kind of under the radar. So, I'm curious to see how it goes forward from here, and, whether or not it's making a move like that puts any target on me, or if I can continue to sort of benefit from being sort of an unknown quantity.
Shannon, let's talk idols. After Claire was voted out, a new one was planted quite early on Chapera Beach. How did this idol differ from the first one that was on the beach?
I do think I had a leg up in the second hunt because it was hidden in season 1 episode, which I edited and am intimately familiar with. So when I saw that that was what it was going to be, I was pretty pumped.
So did you find it? If you seem to.
Did I find it?
Yeah.
No, did not.
Do you have any idea who did?
Yep, I know where it is.
Krista, Shannon is very confident in the location of the idol. Does that scare you any at all?
No, I mean, she edited the episodes. Like, obviously she has it. Like, I don't know. Like she knows all of the footage, not just what was put in. And then it's like basically this idol clue is like handed to her. So I mean, yeah, I don't think Ben has it. Sorry.
Ben, that's great news for you. If you are the last person suspected of having the idol, does that sort of invisibility even give you maybe incentive to make a big move tonight?
Oh man, that's an interesting question. I think in this moment, the move for tonight is pretty clear. So I don't know that I'm looking to rock the boat, and I'd say that my strategy moving forward and here on out is trying to continue to benefit from being sort of under the radar.
Shannon, how do you prepare for a vote where you don't know what twist Jeff could throw at you at any moment?
I don't know. Like there's value in thinking down the line, but there's also like, all right, so many things could happen. We just need to focus on this vote right now. And all I can do is try to keep the people in the game that I trust and that I think trust me, and then try to at least come to any kind of twist with the United Front later on.
All right, well, it seems like this is a pretty straightforward vote. It is time to vote. When I call your name, please DM me your vote on Discord. Shannon, you're up. I'll tally the votes. If anyone has a hidden immunity idol and you'd like to play it, now would be the time to do so. All right, I'll read the votes. Once the votes are read, the decision is final. The person voted out will be asked to leave Tribal Council immediately by turning off their audio and video. I'll read the votes. First vote, Krista. Second vote, Becca. That's one vote Krista, one vote Becca. Becca, that's 2 votes Becca, 1 vote Krista, 1 vote left. The third person voted out of Survivor Quarantine All-Stars and the third member of our jury. Becca, that's 3 votes tonight, that's enough. Well, Chapera, we are down to 3 members. There is nowhere to hide. Grab your torches, head back to camp. Good night.
It's pretty evident in the episode that I really don't give a shit with what's happening. Yeah, I knew I was getting voted out. After Claire got voted out, I knew I was gone. I just had a lot of stuff going on in my personal life, and to be quite honest, shit was just way too much. Survivor was like way below even the lowest tier of important things happening in my life. Yeah, and it was just kind of annoying because you come into it as an outsider and like you want to make friends. As I said in my intro, I really was excited for this experience, and then it kind of proved that like the previous relationships took precedent over everything. Yeah, and like I understand there's blindsiding and stuff because it is Survivor, but it was also like super lame